Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel, or back to my channel. I'm Popper256, and as you can probably tell from the thumbnail and title, in today's video, we are covering LEGO Batman. This video is technically a sequel to my LEGO Marvel video, but you don't have to have watched the first part to understand any of this. Today we'll really be ranking these games. These games all have subtitles, but I'm just going to count them by number. This ranking is going to have the same rules as the first video, but if you haven't watched the first video, let's go into it. I'll be ranking these games by categories. These categories can range from 1 to 5, with 5 obviously being the best. These categories are gameplay, characters, story, level design, collectibles, graphics, overworld, and extras. Now, the other thing I should mention is I have 100%ed all 3 of these games. I did this so my rankings would be fair and understandable. And that's all the rules, so with that being said, let's get into finding out which Batman game is the greatest. So first, a classic, LEGO Batman 1. A lot of people grew up playing this game, so it holds a special place in many people's hearts. Though, me personally, I never played this game until recently, which could make me a little biased to the other games, hopefully not, but it also makes me unbiased to this one. I only played this game recently, but this game has some great tones, and you really feel like you're playing as Batman and Robin, the dynamic duo, not just as Batman or Superman. But that being said, I love this game. Let's get into the ranking. So, the first category we're going to be covering for this game is Overworld. This game has more of a hub than an overworld, but it still counts for overworld. This game has a decent hub, especially for the time, but it's very small and doesn't have that much to explore. Like I said, it's decent, but it's definitely the worst out of the 3 games. So I'm gonna have to go with a 1.5 out of 5 for this category. The next category we're gonna be covering is gameplay. This game has some great gameplay. Some of the mechanics are a little slow for sure, but a lot of them are a little complicated and it's a little hard, but that's actually a good thing. In some ways. Having a challenge is just a good thing, but sometimes some of the puzzles are really hard to figure out. With all that being said, I'm gonna have to give this category a 3.5 out of 5. On to the next category. The next category is story. This game doesn't have a very cohesive story, and it's a little lackluster and hard to figure out. So for story, I'm gonna have to go with a 1.5 out of 5. The next category is characters. Now, this game has some amazing characters such as Hush or my beloved Killer Moth, but most of these characters are in the other 2 games and they're used better with better abilities. So for this category, they get a 2.5 out of 5. Not bad at all, just not as good as the sequels. Next category, level design. This game has some really good level design. There's some bad levels, but for the most part it's really strong, and they're all a little bit complex, which, like I said before, can be a really good thing. So for level design, they get a 4 out of 5. Next is graphics. I know some people say this category is a little unfair, and I get that, it kind of is, but this is my video and we're gonna go with it. If you don't like that, you can just remove the category and deduct points as needed, but I don't think that's gonna change the final verdict either way. We'll see. The graphics aren't bad at all, not in the slightest, especially for the time. But compared to the other games, it sadly falls flat. So I'm gonna have to go on the low end and do a 2 out of 5 for graphics. Next is collectibles. The collectibles in this game, some of them are a little complicated to get, but not in a bad way. And some of them were really hard to get and a little annoying. And the grind to get them took me a while, so I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 5 for collectibles. On to our final category for this game, extras. This game doesn't really have any extras or unlockables, and it's a little lackluster, but they aren't that bad, so we're gonna go with a 1.5 out of 5. And with that, that finishes off the LEGO Batman 1 segment. I genuinely expected to be giving this game more points than I am, and as much as I love this game, I feel like it falls flat in some areas. That being said, it's still a very enjoyable game and I would recommend it. So, the moment you've all been waiting for, the total points of this game adds up to be 19.5 out of a possible 40. Not bad at all, but I hope the others do better. Now, let's go on to the next game. The next game is Lego Batman 2. Now, this game I actually did play when I was younger, so I do have a lot of nostalgia for this one. But I'm gonna do my best to not be biased on it. This game definitely improves on the first one in a lot of ways, but at the same time, on my replay, I noticed a lot of flaws with it. So, with that being said, let's get into the ranking part. So, for this game, we're going to be starting with story. This is probably one of the biggest improvements they made from the first game. This game has such a fun and intriguing story. Joker and Lex Luthor working together is really fun, and they even bring in the whole Justice League. The execution was great, so I'm going to have to go with a 4.5 out of 5. Next up is characters. This game's better than the first on characters as well. It has a more fleshed out roster, more characters like the Justice League, which I love, but it still has a lot of characters that are all included in the next game. So as good as the characters in this one are, the next game still improves on it. So I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5 for characters. Next, gameplay. In some ways, the gameplay in this game improves heavily on the other one, but in some ways it falls flat. It has a lot of bugs and a lot of issues. For the most part, I would say it's less tedious than the first game. So for gameplay, I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5. Next up is graphics. Again, I apologize if any of you find this somewhat unfair, but obviously this game improves with graphics as it's a newer game, but still not the best graphics-wise. But they're really good, so 3.5 out of 5 for graphics. On to level design. Well, this game definitely lacks in some areas. I can't say the same for the level design. The level design in this game is really, really good. The levels aren't too hard, but not too easy either. But in some ways, it's a little bit easier than the first game, so a little bit more lackluster. So for this category, I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5. Next is collectibles. The collectibles are pretty good in this game. It's pretty balanced. They're not too hard nor too easy, and some of them feel like a good challenge to get. So for collectibles, I'm going to have to go with a 4.5 out of 5. Extras / bonuses. There aren't that many extras really in this game, but one cool extra is every time you get all the mini kits in a level, you get a vehicle, which is pretty good, so 4.5 out of 5 for extras. And finally, overworld. This game probably has the best overworld out of the 3 games. It's really cool and unique that you get to explore all of Gotham City, and I feel it's weird that they didn't let you explore any of it before or after. The third game, which we'll get to later, has an alright overworld and some unique spots, but having the unique ability to explore Gotham City is really just a huge bonus. So, for this category, I'm going to have to go with a 5 out of 5 for Overworld. And there you have it, the end of our LEGO Batman 2 coverage. This game is a really special game to me, and I really love it. Now, I don't know if it's the best, we'll have to see, but it is a really fun game. If my math is correct, this game gets a total of 31 points, a really good showing. Let's see what the next game has in store. And finally, the game you've all been waiting for, LEGO Batman 3. This game is also one I played when I was young, so it also has a special place in my heart. Me and my sister played this together a lot. Speaking of which, I also suggest you should check out her channel, Elena256. Anyway, this game's a really fun and unique one. So, let's get into the ranking, and with the ranking, I'm going to start with characters. This game by far has the best roster, as it includes almost every single character from the other 2 games. On top of that, you get a bunch of newcomers. Almost every character feels very unique, and it's a very good roster all around. So, for this category, I'm going to have to go with a 5 out of 5 for characters. Next category. This game kind of has multiple overworlds, which is a pretty good idea, but compared to the last game, it's just not nearly as good. It's still a huge improvement from the first, and very fun to explore, just I wish you could explore Gotham City. Not being able to explore Gotham makes it feel way less of a Batman game. It's still fun overall, so 3.5 out of 5. Our next category is going to be gameplay. In my opinion, this game has the funnest gameplay out of the 3. It feels the least tedious, and it's very fun. It's a little less challenging than the first one, but in a lot of ways it makes it a lot less tedious, so I'm going to go with a 4 out of 5 for gameplay. Now, on to story. Now, this game's story is a little bad in some places. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the game, and I like the story, but it's way too focused on the lanterns, like Green Lantern and etc. It makes it feel a lot less like a Batman story and more like a Green Lantern story. And this is going to be a really controversial statement, but I don't like Green Lantern all that much. please don't kill me in the comments. If you're a Green Lantern fan, seriously, that's good for you. I'm glad you like him. And I personally like Jon Stewart. I'm sorry, Hal fans. Anyway, I'm gonna go with a 3 out of 5 for story for this game. Next is level design. Again, the level design's decent. It's pretty good. It's not too hard, not too easy. Not too challenging, but not too easy either. So, for level design, I'm gonna have to go with a 3.5 out of 5. Next is graphics. Maybe it's obvious at this point, but this game has the best graphics by far. That's not to say the others aren't bad at all, but this easily surpasses them. So, 4 out of 5 for graphics. Collectibles. The collectibles in this game are pretty well balanced. Not many of them made me want to rip my hair out looking for them, so it's a pretty good for collectibles. So I'm going to go with a 4.5 out of 5 for collectibles in this game. And finally, extras. This game has some alright extras, but not too many great unlockables slash extras. It has some decent trophies and stuff, so I'm going to have to go with a 3.5 out of 5. And that concludes our coverage of the Batman games. Which game do you think will win? Which one do you think is the world's greatest Batman game? Well, let's find out. Lego Batman 3 ended off with 31 points, which means we actually have a tie. Lego Batman 2 and 3 are tied. I love both of these games so much, and it's really hard to choose. I am going to choose, though, for this video. If you disagree with that, then I'm sorry. But my choice for the best Lego Batman game is Lego Batman 3. As much as I love Lego Batman 2, I think Lego Batman 3 is the best overall. Though, the game's technically tied, so if you'd rather just have them tied, then that's fair. Anyway, I want to thank you just for watching this video. If you want to, you can comment or like, but I'm just thankful that you watched it. And if you made it this far, I'm really actually grateful. Thank you so much for all the support on the previous video. Now, just like last time, I think we need to do a hint for the next video. But this time, I do have to say, the next video is not going to be out for a long time, probably. I'm not even close to finishing this next set of games, and instead of 3, this time it's 4. Which could be a hint to itself, but let's get into the hint. Well, I hope you enjoyed that hint. But thank you all for watching. I have to say, I'm truly grateful. If you don't mind, check out my friends' channels. They make really good videos too. Thank you all for the support. Bye now.